right, hello everyone. My name is Kelsey and I am here at the Greensboro Science Center. And today we're going to talk about a program that we're now involved in called ecoEXPLORE. Now it's not a program we started here at the Greensboro Science Center, but we are very much part of this program now and we love it. And it's a great program for kids to get involved with. And your library is actually very involved with it as well now, so it is a great resource. So we're going to talk a little bit about the program and what it is, and then I have some really cool things to show you. So I'm going to actually share my screen with you, and we're going to go through a couple slides to show you a little bit about the program, talk a little bit about that. I'll show the website a little bit as well. All right, so you should be able to see my introduction to entomology slides. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that shortly, but ecoEXPLORE has different what we call field seasons. And right now we're in our entomology season, so we'll talk about that. But first, we need to talk a little bit about what this program is. So, what is ecoEXPLORE? It is an incentive-based citizen science program. So that's a lot of words. That just means it's a way for citizens like you and I to get involved in science and actually help real-life scientists collect data. So by participating in this program, you're actually going to be heading outside and looking for things out in nature and taking some photos of those things. And once you upload those photos, we can actually use that to help scientists. This program was started by the North Carolina Arboretum out in Asheville. So they've been running it for a few years, but now they're branching out through the entire state. And we are part of the Northern Piedmont region, and the Greensboro Science Center is your hub. So you can come to us for all of your ecoEXPLORE questions, or you can reach out to the Arboretum as well. Now, I said we can help scientists, so this program is great for getting outside. It's a great program to do right around now when it's so nice out. Maybe not today, it's a little rainy, but when it's very nice out. So basically, you'll go outside and look for things that are alive, things that are native, and things that are wild. So things like maybe your dog, they're not gonna really count so much. But maybe if you go out and you see a squirrel in your backyard, or you see a deer or a bird or a bug, those things are all going to count and help us collect some data. So you'll take pictures of those things and then you'll upload it to ecoEXPLORE. Now, the great part about this program is that it is 100% free. So there's programming involved, and there's some other fun things involved, and it is all free to sign up. So it's a great program. Once you share those photos, educators from across the state actually take a look at those pictures and help you identify them. And then we actually send them to what's called iNaturalist, which is basically the adult version, but it's not as much fun of ecoEXPLORE. So it's a great resource for scientists to collect data. So say there's a scientist trying to figure out if a certain bird is found in a county in North Carolina. Now, does that scientist have a ton of time to just hang out in one spot in the county and figure out if that bird is going to be there? No. But if there's a bunch of people going around taking pictures and uploading those pictures, and they document that bird is found in that county, it is great news for that scientist and a great resource for them. So not only are we helping scientists, but we get to have some fun as well. So the thing that kids that really love is that this program, you can also earn badges and prizes. So with our badges, we have 4 field seasons every year. They're the same time every year. Right now we are in entomology season, and we'll talk about that. But there's also ornithology, so birds, herpetology, reptiles and amphibians, and botany, which is plants. So those happen during a certain time of the year. The bonus badges are extra badges, and those can take however long to get those badges. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit about how you get those badges in a little bit. And we continue to add more bonus badges all the time. So these badges are actually little fabric badges that you can iron on to whatever you'd like to iron them onto. So they are really, really cool. So earning those badges, super fun. And then there's also the prizes. So we have lots of cool prizes that you can look for. So each photo that you submit or each observation you submit gets you points, up to 5 points per observation. So just for taking a photo, for taking a good photo, we can help ID. For correctly identifying the species that we're looking at that you photographed, for taking it at a hot spot, which I'll explain in a little bit, and then for taking it in the correct field season. So right now, any pictures of insects are going to get you an extra point. And you can get things like coloring books all the way up to an iPod Touch. That's quite a few points, so it takes a little bit of work, but it's a lot of fun to get there. So the prizes are definitely a great incentive for this program. All right, so I said we are in entomology season. So entomology is actually the study of insects. And it gets kind of hard during this field season because some things we think of as bugs don't actually qualify for entomology. So we're going to talk a little bit about what exactly an insect is. So insects are invertebrates, which means they have kind of an external skeleton. They don't have an internal skeleton like we do. So if you touch your back, you can feel those bumps. Those are your vertebrae. They're inside your body. Insects, it's outside of their body. They're also going to have what we call 3 body segments, which I'll talk about, and 6 legs. That's very important. Insects have to have 6 legs. So if we take a look at this diagram of a grasshopper, we're going to go through and look at those parts. So that outer shell I was talking about is called the exoskeleton. Outside your body, exoskeleton. So we're going to talk about all of these parts. Like I said, there are 3 body segments. The first one is very, very similar to your own first body segment. It is the head, right? So they have the head. The next one is called a thorax, and that's kind of like our chest area. And then their last body segment is called the abdomen. So it's kind of like our belly area. So they have 3 body segments. Now up here on top of that head, they have antennae. And those antennae can look a little different depending on the insect. So some of them have long, skinny ones. Some of them kind of have feathery looking ones. So it kind of depends on the type of insect we're looking at. But they all have to have those antennae, and they use them to kind of feel their way around. They can kind of sense and even kind of taste and smell and communicate with those antennae. So they're very, very important. The next thing, something we also have, the eyes. Now, if you take a look at this picture, their eyes look a little weird. This is actually from a dragonfly. And you can see all those tiny little spots. Those are all individual lenses. So they have what's called a complex eye. We have a simple eye. It's one lens. They've got lots of lenses, at least most insects. Lots and lots of lenses. It helps them to see color and movement very, very well. That's why those flies see you coming when you try to swat them. They can see movement very, very well. The last part on that head, again, something we have, a mouth. Now they have different looking mouths and they eat in different ways, but all these insects are going to have a mouth. With the second body segment, that thorax, there's 2 things we're going to talk about. The first one, those legs we talked about, those 6 legs. Now, some insects look like they might have more legs than 6, kind of like caterpillars. But in truth, only 6 of those legs are real legs that they will have when they turn into an adult. Caterpillars tend to go through a pupa stage where they go into an adult form. We'll talk about that in a second. So they have 6 true legs and the rest are false legs that they won't have as an adult. So insects have to have 6 legs, and then some of them have wings. Not all insects have wings, but a lot of them do. And those wings come in all different shapes and sizes. Butterflies have those very, very large wings. Flies kind of about the same size as their body. And then dragonflies have those long, skinny wings. So a lot of them do have wings, and they're very similar, but they can have lots of different colors and shapes. And then the last thing is a really weird word, and it's something that comes on the abdomen. It's called a spiracle, and that's a little black spot that it's showing, and that's actually how insects breathe. They can breathe through those little spiracle holes, and we'll get a close look at those in a little while. But those are how those insects are going to breathe. Now, I mentioned that they do have a life cycle. So insects go through what we call metamorphosis. And there's actually two different types of metamorphosis. The first one is incomplete. And that kind of means they go from an egg and then they have nymph stages. And that first nymph kind of looks a little bit like an adult. Like you can kind of tell it's a grasshopper, even though it doesn't really look like that full adult grasshopper. So it's incomplete. With complete metamorphosis, they hatch out of that egg into a larva stage. And then they have to have a pupa stage. And that adult form looks completely different from that larva stage. So they make a complete change. We're going to talk about quite a few of those today because butterflies are some of my favorite insects. All right, so I have a game for you guys at home. So when I talk about one of these, I want you to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you think this is an insect or not. So that first one is a butterfly. What do we think? It's got nice big wings. I see some antenna. Don't really see any legs, but we aren't on the right side. What do we think? Insect or not? Right, that one definitely an insect. They do have the 3 body segments as well as the 6 legs. What about this next one? Looks like I'm seeing a few too many legs with this one. Now that one's definitely thumbs down. That is a spider. Spiders are not actually considered insects, though we kind of lump them together. They are arachnids. All right, and that next one, this green beetle up here. All right, that one, what do we think? Thumbs up for insect, thumbs down. All right, that one is an insect as well. The next one we have a mantis. Let's see. I see about 6 legs. I think insect or not. That one is definitely an insect as well. All right, the next one looks kind of like a crayfish. What do we think about this guy? I don't know about that. Yep, not an insect. So these guys are found in water, and not that insects can't be found in water, but he definitely has a few too many legs to be an insect. What about this last one? That's a crazy looking critter. Yep, not an insect. It's got way too many legs and way too many body segments to be an insect. All right. So, insects, a lot of times we think they're super gross and we don't want them around, which I get because they are kind of creepy and crawly, but they are so important to the world around us. So if you don't like insects, something you really want to have around is other insects because they help with pest control. So if you don't like mosquitoes, there are some other insects you really want to have around, like dragonflies that will eat those mosquitoes. So some insects are great for pest control for the ones we don't like so much. As well as with bees, a lot of people don't like bees, but they actually aren't that aggressive. It's the other ones like hornets and wasps that can be, and yellow jackets that can be really aggressive. But bees give us honey, which a lot of people love. And we can also use that beeswax, which is a great product that bees make that we can use in household products and all kinds of things. So bees, very important. And then this funny critter over here, this white thing, that's actually a larva stage. It's technically a maggot of a Hercules beetle, and it is a decomposer, which means it's decomposing the things around it. So when leaves fall in the fall, these decomposers are very important because they eat and break down that dead and decaying plant matter. So decomposers, very important. They basically create new soil. So those are things we have to have around as well. Now, one of the most important things we think of with insects being helpful, pollination, right? They're very great pollinators. Pollination is where pollen from one plant gets transported to another plant so they can make more plants. Now, things like bees and butterflies and moths are great pollinators. Um, we talk a lot about how bees are in trouble and why that's important. And a lot of that is because they are such great pollinators. So we need them around to help us pollinate our crops. So they're great critters to have around. If you look at the top of the screen, you'll see there's a nice circle up there that says Pollinator, ecoEXPLORE Pollinator. That is our latest bonus badge. We just started in September. So it's another badge that you can look at and get points for. So another new badge. All right. So this is just for fun. Some insects of North Carolina. We have a ton of insects in North Carolina, and most of them are just cool looking and kind of live their life. Down at the bottom corner here, you'll see that Hercules beetle. That was that maggot you saw a little bit ago. That's what it looks like as an adult. I put the yellow jacket, I have kind of a circle over that one because we have lots of yellow jackets around here. There are some insects that you should avoid, like yellow jackets. They're kind of mean. But for the most part, insects, their mouths are too small to actually bite you. So most insects are good and they just like to hang out and live their life. Just make sure you know which is which. All right. And again, for fun, North Carolina and all states have a lot of state symbols. So the state butterfly is the eastern tiger swallowtail. So you can see the larva and a male and female in those pictures. And then our state insect is the European or Western honeybee. So again, bees, super, super important. So important, we made them our state insect. All right. So I'm going to say, if you have questions, you can visit ecoexplore.net. That's a great resource. I'm going to show you a little bit about that here in a second. But you can also email me at the Science Center with any questions. And that is ecoexplore@greensboroscience.org. So you can email me there as well. All right. So I'm going to share my screen again. I just have to flip flop here. Pardon me. Pull it up. All right. So I'm going to show you guys the website. Did it pull up right? Let me make sure it's pulling up right. All right. So you should be seeing our website. So ecoexplore.net. So the first thing you're going to see is just a little blurb about what the program is. As you scroll down the main page, it tells you about which field season we're in, some upcoming programs, as well as some latest pictures and our leaderboard. But if we go back up to the top, we have this locations tab. This is where those hotspots come in. So hotspots are places that are partnering with the program. Your library is probably one as well. So these are spots where you can go and actually look for critters running around. So it's a good place to find things. So this is a good resource if you're looking for places to hike. There's lots of hotspots listed. And we're adding more and more in our area as we go. So we're kind of branching out. So we're adding more hotspots, and taking photos at these locations does get you an extra point. All right, here's our prize page. Sorry, my internet is a little slow. Prize page, so these are ever changing as well. We just debuted this cargo vest, so these change periodically. to give you more options. So lots of cool prizes, and then our badge page. So badges, you get these by doing a couple challenges and taking some photos. So each one, like with our entomology badge here, requires 6 photos of insects. So just submitting those six different photos, and then doing a couple of these challenges. And they aren't very difficult. Most of the time it's maybe watching a video or completing an activity. And then there's also the option to attend our season summit, which is right now a virtual event where we actually talk to everybody, we interact with you guys, and you get to interact with an actual entomologist. So somebody that does this for a living. So those are very fun as well. So you have to do those and then you get your badge. So not super hard and it's a lot of fun. All right. So that is all I have about the actual program. So I'm going to pull up. I have some really fun stuff I'm going to show you guys. So share my screen one last time. All right, so you should be seeing some nice, beautiful butterflies. So if you take a look here, these guys might look pretty familiar. This is from a collection we got from a gentleman who collected these in the 50s. So these are very, very old specimens of butterflies. He found them when they had died and collected them. But I wanted to show you these monarch butterflies because it's something you don't get to see this close every day. Now I chose these to show you in particular because I'm actually going to show you guys how to tell the difference between a male and a female monarch butterfly. So with these 4 you're looking at right now, 2 of them are male and 2 of them are female. So butterfly wings are made up of some veins, which are those dark lines there. Those are veins, kind of similar to our veins. It helps to transport nutrients throughout the body of the butterfly. And then they're also covered in little tiny itty bitty scales. And those are actually to help them to maintain their body temperature. They are cold-blooded. They can't maintain their own body heat, so they get it from the environment around them. Those little scales are very, very important to these butterflies. I'm going to talk about that shortly. But if you look at the veins on this butterfly and this butterfly, they're very, very thick as compared to the ones over here that are a lot more skinny. They're kind of skinny veins. The important part of the butterfly is this right here. You see that darker spot right there in the middle of that vein? That tells me that that butterfly and the one below it are both male. They're both boy butterflies. That spot is actually used to let out kind of a smell, and it attracts the female butterflies. So it's very, very important for these butterflies to have those spots, and only the males have them. Another interesting thing about monarch butterflies is they can actually be poisonous. When they are caterpillars, they like to eat and live on milkweed plants, which makes them poisonous. They aren't born poisonous, but that can transfer over into adulthood. Not many of us go around eating butterflies, so it's not something you need to worry about. Just another cool fact about monarch butterflies. Now, I mentioned that those butterflies have scales on their wings. So I have some pretty cool butterflies to show you here. Now this top one here, that is called a blue morpho butterfly. And they have lots of very beautiful blue coloration. But you can kind of tell here that some of those scales have fallen off. They come off really, really easily. And that's so if a butterfly gets stuck in a maybe a spider web, those little scales can come off and the butterfly can escape. Now, it's kind of detrimental to the butterfly. It kind of hurts them. So those scales protect their wings as well as attract sunlight to keep them warm. So it can lessen their lifespan. That's why when handling butterflies, it's very important that you're trained to do so, because those little scales can come off on our hands, and that's not good for the butterfly. All right, we've got some pretty butterflies down here too, these nice yellow ones. Now I wanted to show you these because there are different types of scales. So if you look at this wing right here, no matter which way I hold it, flipping it around, it looks yellow. This butterfly, its color is pigmented. It has a pigment of yellow, so it is colored yellow. Our friend up here looks very, very blue, but it's not actually blue. If you look at this wing here, and you can kind of get a good look at the coloration there, it still looks blue. But what if I tip it this way? It loses a whole lot of that blue coloration, right? It kind of looks more brown. So that blue coloration actually only comes from sunlight or light hitting it. So my light back there is causing this to show up blue. That's called iridescence. And so anytime you see something kind of shimmery like that, some snakes can do this as well. It's called iridescence. So if we take a look at this butterfly here, this one is called a pale owl butterfly. You can see there's not much color going on there. A lot of yellow, a lot of brown. But if I change the lighting up a little bit, we're going to use a flashlight for this one. If I change up that lighting a little bit, see if I can get a good view of it for you guys. There you go. You can see that it actually kind of changes colors. So that is those scales on the lower wings and all of their iridescence showing the color. But when the light's not really shining on it, it doesn't show that color. That's one of my favorite things about butterflies. I think it's so cool that they can be colorful, but not actually be that color. All right, I've got two more things to show you. All right, so there you are. You can see my little friend poking their head out there. I'm gonna move this down so you can see the whole thing. So this is a Madagascar hissing cockroach. Now I'm gonna pick it up. You might be able to hear through the computer camera. So I'm gonna be quiet for a second. No, we've got a quiet one today. So they call them Madagascar hissing cockroaches because they do like to hiss. They make that noise. And if you look right here, I know it's a little blurry. If you look right here, those dark spots are those spiracles we talked about. So they actually, zoom out a little bit, there we go. That's actually how they breathe and how they're going to make that hissing noise. They actually shoot air out of those spiracles. You can see the spikes on the feet there and the legs. That helps them to climb. Though they prefer to just kind of be at the bottom, the forest floor, so that they can find their food. These guys are decomposers. They like to eat plant matter. Their mouth really not big enough to bother with me. I don't taste, smell, or look like a plant, so he's just kind of hanging out. I can tell this is a male because of those horns right here. The females have more of a flat hood over their head. Ooh, gotta hop us. There's a hiss. So the head's down here underneath the thorax here, and then there's that abdomen. They kind of feel like plastic. So what I'm touching here is that exoskeleton. And these guys go through a process of molting. So it's kind of like when your jacket gets too small and you have to get a new one. Their exoskeleton, as they grow, will get too small, and they will actually have to shed it off. It's kind of like when you get a really bad sunburn, and then there's a new one underneath of that. So these guys are very cool critters. Again, they're very good for keeping the forest floor nice and clean, helping to eat that decaying plant matter. All right. And they're Madagascar, so they're from the island of Madagascar over by Africa. All right, we're gonna stick him back. And then I have one more friend for you guys to see. And this one is one of my favorites, even though technically it's not an insect, right? We talked a little bit about this. This is an African giant millipede. So we have a similar species around here, the North American giant millipede, but they don't get anywhere as big as this one. This is our large female, curling up there. Now these guys can have 30 to 40 body segments, so much more than that 3 that's required for insects. And they have 4 legs per body segment. So they definitely don't have a million legs, but they definitely have a lot of legs. See if I can get her to turn around so you guys can see kind of her head there, just kind of tucking it. But you'll see those antennae come out, and she'll be feeling around with those, trying to figure out where to go. Again, this animal is not something that has a mouth that's big enough to bite me. And she also is a decomposer, so she likes to eat plants. So here at the Science Center, we'll give her some some vegetables, and maybe a little bit of lettuce that she can eat on. One of the cool things I think is their legs, watching them go in kind of a wave as she walks. But she's just kind of walk around, check me out. If you have access to it, there are really cool YouTube videos of these guys up close, where you can see those legs moving, kind of see those body segments. She kind of feels like plastic, or maybe like the bendy part of a bendy straw. She climbs around. And I get asked a lot if her feet tickle. A little bit. They kind of stick to what they're holding on to, so it does kind of feel a little weird. But she's very cool. All right. Stick her back before she climbs too high. There we go. She likes to be in there anyway. I'll leave her kind of moving around. All right. All right, everyone. Well, that is all I have for you. Like I said, if you have any questions about ecoEXPLORE, definitely visit the website, or you can email me at ecoexplore@greensboroscience.org, and I will get back to you with those questions. I hope to see you guys soon. We do offer a lot of programming with this program, so you can come to some in-person programs as well as some virtual programs right now. Usually we would do in person, but obviously right now a lot of recorded or video virtual programming. So keep an eye out for that stuff. Keep an eye out for more programming coming to your library as well. And I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you.